time for Dave 101.
Now, I'm not a smart man, but the one thing I am is very open-minded to learn from my peers. The one thing that I didn't ever enjoy when I was going through high school was science. I'm nowhere close to being a scientist. I'm nowhere smart enough to be a scientist. I am nowhere understanding enough to know much about science. But there is a little bit that I do know, is that science is everything and that science is ever evolving. And this is where it takes us regarding the UFO field. Because there is a brilliant scientist out there who continues to rattle the cages of anybody who believes in UFOs. And that is Neil deGrasse Tyson. Now, reading his resume, Neil deGrasse Tyson is a brilliant, brilliant man. You cannot take that away from him. All right, he's an astrophysicist, planetary scientist, author, science communicator. He studied at Harvard. He studied at the University of Texas at Austin, Columbia University. He got his postdoctoral research associate from Princeton. All right, and then he joined the hated planetarium. He has dedicated his life to what is up in space. And I think this is great. But you know, the one thing about this show that I have been able to take advantage of in my limited amount of knowledge when it comes to science is that there is a huge difference between science and opinion. Everybody can choose what they want to believe and what they do not want to believe. But the arrogance that we have seen over the last few years regarding Neil deGrasse Tyson and the possibility that UFOs and extraterrestrials may be here has been really unfathomable. I remember talking to one scientist who told me, Dave, all of us scientists are geeks. We grew up on Star Trek. We grew up on Star Wars. There's nothing more that we would like than to explore the supernatural nova that is out there regarding everything that is woo. We would love to bring scientific answers to it. But Neil deGrasse Tyson continues to literally crap all over the UFO field. This is what I do not understand, is why he is doing this. There are people out there who are just as smart as him, that are just as interested in UFOs, and are taking this subject extremely seriously. Yet, for Mr. deGrasse Tyson, he wants to make fun of little green men and spaceships. He's not saying that there isn't life out there somewhere. What he is saying is, it's impossible for them to get to Earth and be here now. And he makes fun of people who believe that they have been abducted, believe they have had sightings. His skepticism on the entire topic is extremely flawed. Now, for a scientist, would you not want to be a part of this story? Would you not want to investigate it the way you would something else? We see scientists all the time wasting money and grants on the stupidest of projects. I remember a couple of years ago, we did a story on this, and I read through a few of them. The one that stuck with me was a $300,000 grant to an American university to study how cougars, that's mountain lions, okay, not ladies on heels, how they reacted to walking on a treadmill. 300 grand. What the hell does that have to do with life? Every year, hundreds of millions of dollars are spent on grants on many things that for everyday life we will call useless. But when it comes to space, not many scientists want to put their name on the UFO story. There are some brave men and women, part of the Scientific Coalition of UAP Studies, otherwise known as the SCU, who will meet this weekend for their annual convention, who will hang out there and discuss the plausibilities of what is happening right now in UFOs. The UFO topic is a hotbed of information. We have U.S. Congress looking into it, other governments looking into it, politicians taking this story seriously, the media making it front page news and headline news. Yet, around here, Neil deGrasse Tyson thinks it's all a nothing burger. This is where science gets into trouble. When you start opining your opinion rather than looking at the scientific data that has been found. All one would have to do is look at the brand new documentary, A Tear in the Sky. I can tell you right now, scientists like Kevin Knuth, who appeared in that documentary, Dave Mason, were using high-tech scientific technology to try and track these craft. Why wouldn't he look at that? Science is about expanding. We do not know everything. For if we did know everything, wouldn't we have solved the life after death mystery? Rather than just saying it's ashes to ashes, dust to dust, you're one and done? Wouldn't we have solved other mysteries about how we got here? Because right now, it's all theory. What about the theory of extraterrestrials coming here? It's just as plausible. Yet Neil deGrasse Tyson, every chance he gets on any major media outlet, wants to absolutely lambaste anyone who is looking into this phenomena. Dr. Bob McGuire is a smart man. He is our resident scientist. He was the head of science and mathematics at Virginia Tech University. I would say that's a pretty smart guy. He says it's very dangerous in our conversations for deGrasse Tyson to be doing this. In fact, he thinks it makes him look like a fool. My words, not the doctor's. What about Avi Loeb from Harvard? He's an astrophysicist. Same education, same doctorate as Neil deGrasse Tyson. Why don't they have a conversation? So that way, deGrasse Tyson can learn more about the Galileo project. Neil deGrasse Tyson has a huge voice on the scientific community and with governments and businesses alike. He's a television star. He is a scientific rock star, if there ever was one. But for him to continually put down the UFO field and ignore the statistics, the information, and everything that has been caught on data, both from the military and from people just like you and me, is absolutely ignorant. I don't have to be a scientist to be able to say that Neil deGrasse Tyson looks like a fool on this subject. That would be like a chef stating that they don't want to cook steak because they don't believe steak exists, even though you can get it at every supermarket and every butcher. Bad comparison, I know, but once again, I'm not a scientist, and I never claimed to be a smart man. What I do know is this: we need more scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson to look at the information, study the information, give the information a 100% effort, hell, even a 50% effort, before you make erroneous claims that this phenomena is not real. You can tell he doesn't even bother looking at the studies, the way he talks arrogantly about the subject. He doesn't want to learn from Avi Loeb. He doesn't want to learn from what the government knows. He doesn't want to learn from Eric Davis or Hal Puthoff or Dr. Bob McGuire, Dr. Michael Masters, many others. Richard Hoffman and Robert Powell from the SCU, I'm pretty sure they would love to have a conversation with Neil deGrasse Tyson to show him what they have found. All right? We have brilliant people looking into this subject on a daily, if not hourly basis. But unfortunately, when it comes to the media, they don't know who Dr. Bob McGuire is. They don't know who Robert Powell is. They don't know who Dr. Paul Kingsbury is, or barely Avi Loeb. Or how about Gary Nolan at Stanford University, who has his own laboratory named after him, and the studies he is doing about UFOs and ET contact. No, people as smart as deGrasse Tyson are ignored by the man. Because this is where the ego comes into play. deGrasse Tyson doesn't want to be wrong. He's a rock star. He's one of those people that when the media calls, he can be the man to talk to. He likes being the man. You can tell. Remember, this is a man who helped kill Pluto as a planet. He's evil. I don't mean in that way, but I'm saying for Pluto, he's evil. There's 9 planets, not 8. But then again, what do I know? What do I know? I'm just a guy behind a microphone. I'm just a guy who is here telling it like I see it. Neil deGrasse Tyson could be a huge, huge voice for the UFO community, but his own ignorance and ego will not allow him to look at the data, to look at the information, and to talk to those who are truly studying it. Look, you don't need to believe the experiencer. You don't need to believe the videos. You don't need to believe MUFON. You don't need to believe Peter Davenport at New Fork. You don't need to believe what the government says or their videos they have released. But stop crapping on your own scientific colleagues who have put their own blood, sweat, and tears into what could be a massive story and massive scientific feat if the extraterrestrials arrive. But deGrasse Tyson won't do that. He's too proud. You can tell. He's too smug. He's too egotistical. He's too arrogant. And that's why he uses opinion over science. Look, we see this all the time in every field. Okay, and once again, you don't need to be a scientist to figure it out. We see opinions about what Bigfoot is. Look at the BFRO. We see these groups of people, these weekend warriors that go out ghost hunting, claiming that they are creating scientific studies about the paranormal, when you know they're not. There's a lot of false science out there. And I can understand why deGrasse Tyson doesn't want to get in the mix. That's easy to see. But I'm pretty sure that Avi Loeb, Gary Nolan, Jacques Vallée, Robert Powell, Richard Hoffman, Dr. Eric Davis, and many, many more could easily have a very serious conversation to show deGrasse Tyson that the phenomena is extremely real, and more importantly, that the phenomena is already here. But the good television doctor and scientist first needs to open his eyes and realize this isn't about him. This is about humanity. And science can lead to those answers that we are missing right now. Be the voice, Neil. You have the opportunity to do so. You have the ability to do so. But will you take that chance? I highly doubt it. And that is your Dave 101. Do me a favor, if you are listening on YouTube or on social media, head to our YouTube channel. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment. I want to know what you think, and let me know.